Right now, you are sitting still and your body hates this. For 300,000 years, sitting still was a death sentence. The herd moved on, the water dried up, the cold came down, and if you stayed, you starved. So, your ancestors walked, barefoot, across deserts, over mountains, onto ice with no far side. They walked until one animal, just one, had touched every corner of the planet. We call them explorers. They were something closer to refugees. For the next few minutes, forget the boats and the maps, and watch what's chasing them. Start with your feet. Humans are the best long-distance walkers alive, and almost the slowest. A cheetah hits 70 miles an hour. A horse holds 30. You manage 15 for about 10 seconds, and then you're gasping. Speed was never the point. You can walk 20 miles, sleep, and do it again tomorrow and the next day for weeks. Nothing else on Earth can do that. Your arches work like springs. Your Achilles tendon snaps energy back with every step. And 2 million sweat glands cool you down, while every other animal on the savanna overheats and has to stop. Hunters still use this today. In the Kalahari, a man picks one antelope and just follows it, walking through the hottest part of the day. The animal sprints, rests, and sprints again. But it can't sweat like you, so it cooks from the inside, and after a few hours, it simply falls. You didn't outrun it, you outlasted it, you won. And now you're 8 miles from home, with 150 pounds of meat, and the light is going. The body could go anywhere. Carrying things was the problem. Hold on to that. A body that walks forever still has to know where it's going. No maps, no signs, no glowing dot telling you where you are. So how did they not get lost? They didn't. They turned the entire world into memory. Africa never let them settle. The land kept flipping, from green savanna full of lakes and animals to nothing but dust. The Sahara has drowned in grass and dried to bone more than once. And we can prove it, because deep in the driest desert on Earth, there are cave paintings of people swimming. And when the green died, it didn't die quietly. It pushed everything alive toward the edges. So, about 70,000 years ago, humans started walking out of Africa. Not in one march, but over thousands of years, family by family, a little further into land no one had ever seen. Across the Middle East, into Asia, up into Europe, deep into Siberia, over a frozen bridge into Alaska, and down through the Americas. 15,000 miles, toward places they didn't even know existed. And they weren't wandering. Archaeologists find sharp obsidian tools hundreds of miles from any volcano, and seashells buried deep inland, far from any coast. That stuff didn't walk itself there. People carried it and traded it. This wasn't drifting. It was a supply chain, on foot. They even carried the map in their heads. In Australia, people turned whole journeys into songs, with every ridge and every waterhole hidden inside a tune you could sing for hundreds of miles. But the numbers were brutal. For a while, there may have been only a few thousand humans left on the entire planet. Think about that. That's everyone. That's the whole future of our species. A few thousand people, cold and hungry, walking away from a home that had turned to dust. Walking took them everywhere the land allowed. But most of the planet isn't land, and soon they hit a wall that walking couldn't cross. Water. A river stops you dead, and rivers were everywhere, cutting through every route and every hunting ground. For hundreds of thousands of years, water was a wall. You either found a shallow spot, or you turned back. Then humans did something no other land animal has ever done. They crossed water on purpose. 65,000 years ago, people reached Australia. And here's the problem. To get there, you cross at least 60 miles of open sea. And even at the lowest tides, you cannot see the far side. Someone built a raft, loaded it, and pushed off, watching the only land they knew shrink and vanish behind them. Land behind you, gone. Land ahead, nothing. Just water and a current that doesn't care which way you meant to go. And they made it. Again and again, they made it. Because the coast behind them was already full, so they aimed at an empty ocean and paddled straight into it. You'd think that was the limit. It wasn't even close. Around 3,000 years ago, the Polynesians looked at the Pacific, the largest thing on Earth, and decided to cross it. They built double-hulled canoes and loaded them with food, animals, and whole families. Then they sailed thousands of miles with no compass, no map, and nothing written down. They read the stars, the direction of the swells rolling under the hull, the flight paths of birds, and the color of clouds sitting over land they still couldn't see. And it worked. They found Hawaii, Easter Island, and New Zealand, every livable island in the Pacific. Some of those trips crossed 2,500 miles of open water, with nothing in between. Just a family, a canoe, and a horizon. And here's the part we skip. They didn't leave paradise for fun. The islands behind them were filling up, with too many mouths and not enough land. So they bet everything they loved on an ocean they couldn't see the end of. We say humans cross the world like it's a crowd, a blur of millions of feet, but it was always one person, one body, one bad day from the end, and once the ice kept one of them for us. 5,300 years ago, a man climbed high into the Alps. He had a copper axe, an unfinished bow, and shoes stuffed with dry grass for warmth. He never came down. He died on the pass, an arrowhead buried in his shoulder, and the ice sealed over him and held him, exactly as he fell, for 5,000 years. We call him Otzi, and we didn't find an explorer. We found a man mid-journey carrying everything he owned on his back, because that was the real limit, not distance, weight. Past about 50 pounds, your body starts to break. You can walk 20 miles, but not while dragging a 200-pound animal you just killed. Remember that meat and the fading light. So, humans cheated. First they hauled kills home on a stretched hide. Then they lashed 2 long poles into a triangle, slung the load between them, and let the ground carry the weight. And then they stopped carrying at all. About 15,000 years ago came the dog. A team of them could pull an entire camp across the snow. But dogs are small. We needed something bigger. 5,500 years ago, on the grasslands of Central Asia, humans cracked the horse. We know this from the wear marks, grooves worn into ancient teeth by a bit placed in the mouth to steer. And the horse broke the oldest rule alive. For 300,000 years, the fastest a human could move was about 4 miles an hour, walking pace. On a horse, you could hit 30. In a single lifetime, the world shrank 8 times over. Weeks became days, and an army could reach you before you even knew it existed. Then people grabbed whatever fit. Donkeys for the deserts, camels for the Sahara, reindeer for the Arctic, llamas for the Andes. And here's the part that breaks people's brains. Humans crossed every ocean on Earth before anyone invented the wheel. The oldest wheel is about 5,200 years old. Boats go back at least 10,000. Australia, 65,000. The wheel wasn't the first great leap, it was one of the last. And it didn't even start as travel. The first wheels spun clay into pots. Then someone tipped one on its side and thought, what if something rode on top of it? The first carts were miserable, heavy, cracking on rough ground, and a horse without one was faster. Then, around 4,000 years ago, someone carved a wheel with spokes, lighter, stronger, and faster. And suddenly you had speed and cargo at the same time. You had chariots. Roads came after. And once wheels, roads, and horses were all working together, you finally had something that looked like a real transport system. Trade exploded. Empires became possible. And every civilization you have ever heard of was built on that combination. So, here's the story we tell ourselves. Clever apes inventing their way across the world. Brave explorers chasing the horizon. Now, look again at what actually moved them. A drying Sahara, a river in the way, a coast too crowded to feed them, an island with too many mouths, a herd walking away, ice sliding down from the north. Not one of those is a horizon. Every one of them is a thing at your back. They didn't chase the edge of the earth. They were chased to it. Humanity didn't fill the planet because it was brave. It filled the planet because it could never stay. And that part, the part that couldn't stay, never died. The roads they walked are mostly gone now. There's a whole sunken country under the North Sea called Doggerland. People hunted there and raised children there. And now, fishing boats drag their tools up in the nets. But the thing that carried them across it, you still have it. It's why a comfortable room can start to feel like a cage. It's why somewhere else always sounds a little like relief. You didn't inherit the explorer's courage. You inherited the refugee's restlessness. So, right now, you are sitting still. And your body still doesn't quite believe you.